Indian origin anti-caste activist and former Seattle City Council member Kshama Sawant has claimed that the Indian government denied her visa to visit her ailing mother in Bengaluru, which is in India. She alleges that this move is political retaliation for her past activism against India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP. Sawant, who has been a vocal critic of India's policy on caste, religious freedom and economic reforms, believes that her outspoken stance against the Indian government is the reason behind her visa denial. However, while Sawant portrays this as an attack on free speech, India has strong and really valid points for denying her entry. For years, Sawant has used her political platform in the US to criticize India's domestic policies, often misrepresenting the facts to suit her left-wing socialist narrative. During her tenure as a Seattle City Council member from 2013 to 2023, she played a major role in passing a resolution condemning India's Citizenship Amendment Act. We also call it CAA and National Register of Citizens, that is NCR, calling them anti-Muslim and discriminatory. She also led a campaign to support farmer protest in India, which, while legitimate in its concern, was highly politicized by international activists who had little understanding of India's internal affairs. In February 2023, she helped make Seattle the first US city to ban caste-based discrimination, a move that many Indian American organizations, including the Hindu American Foundation and Vishwa Hindu Parishad, opposed, claiming that it wrongly painted India's culture as discriminatory and regressive. Sawant now claims that her visa was denied without explanation, and this is not the very first time. She has been denied entry into India on 3 separate occasions. However, India, like any other nation, has full authority to decide who is allowed to enter its border. Sawant's track record of attacking India on international platforms, often in alignment with the Western media narratives that are really biased against India, make her a highly controversial figure. By spreading misinformation and actively working against India's elected government, she has undermined India's sovereignty and tried to damage its global reputation as well. If we see it from an Indian perspective, then denying her visa is totally justified national security and diplomatic decision. Countries across the world, including the US too, routinely deny the visas to individuals who consider politically disruptive. The US itself has denied visa to foreign activists who have criticized its policy on immigration, race relation and military intervention. Now, if the US can reject visa applications on national security ground, why should India not have the same right? That is the question. Sawant insists that she only wants to visit her mother, and some argue that her case should be considered on humanitarian grounds. However, India must also consider the bigger picture here. Granting a visa would set a really dangerous precedent, allowing individuals who actively work against Indian interests just to enter the country whenever they wish to, potentially engaging in activities that could actually harm India's social harmony. Her history of aligning with anti-India forces raises the concern about her real intention behind visiting India. Moreover, her online petition demanding entry into India is an attempt to pressure the Indian government and portrays herself as a victim. The reality is, India has not banned or expelled her. She is simply being denied a visa as any country's right when dealing with a foreign national known for anti-government propaganda. India is not targeting her personally. Rather, it is making a rational decision based on her actions and statement over the years. Another important factor is how Western activists and politicians often interfere in India's internal matters without truly understanding the complex cultural and social dynamics of the country. Sawant's stance on caste-based discrimination, for example, follows a Western lens that fails to recognize the significant progress that India has made in social justice. India's policy, including affirmative actions and reservation for marginalized community, have done more for Dalit and backward class, uplifting them any symbolic resolution passed in the US. Her portrayal of India as a casteist and a regressive country is not only misleading but also harmful to Indian diaspora, which faces unfair scrutiny because of such narratives. While Sawant and her supporters may cry foul, the fact remains that India is well within its right to deny her a visa. This is not an attack on free speech. Sawant is free to criticize India from anywhere in the world, as she always has. However, entry into India is a privilege, not a right, and those who actively work against the country's interests cannot expect to be welcomed with the open arms. India is simply following the same diplomatic principles that other nations like the US or the UK or even Canada follows when deciding who can enter and who cannot enter their border. In the end, this is not about silencing the critics. It is about protecting India's national interests and sovereignty. Sawant made a cautious choice to position herself as anti-India activist on the global stage. Now she must accept the consequences of that choice. India does not owe her a visa, and it certainly does not need to justify its decision to those who refuse to respect its policies and leadership. Dhanyavad.